payable to Terry Bagley and payable to Ashley Phillips, and reservists to the amount. I'm going to give the state 120 days to tell me the amount of that restitution. If they fail to do so within 120 days, there will be no restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys agree on the amount, I will impose that as another condition of your sentence. Pay back that restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys do not agree on the amount, I will conduct a restitution hearing. Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be. What I want you to understand, sir, is I guess that's part of this negotiated resolution, but your answers to any of those questions, whatever they might be, have no bearing on me and have no bearing on this negotiated resolution. In other words, the deal you...
So in other words, they're going to ask him some questions about what happened, yada, yada, yada. Either he could tell them or he ain't got to tell them. Once they make this deal, that's it for the state. But they already got him copping out to accessory to commit murder. And with that right there, he admitted to the crime. So what do they leave Melly? Fucked up.
Your maximum exposure here was life in Florida State Prison, followed by 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 75 years in Florida State Prison. Sir, do you understand all the pending charges and the maximum possible penalties involved? And it's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct? And that resolution is an agreement you've reached with the state, the terms of which are as follows. Number one, in the 19 case, you're going to plead no contest to both counts of accessory after the fact. In the 23 case, you're going to plead no contest to all 4 counts as charged. In exchange for that, the state is going to null process, that is, drop the 2 first-degree murder cases. All right, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. Yes, sir. What's happening with that?
That would be no problem.
So he's only going to plead to the tampering with a witness in a capital felony, conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of the two-way communication device?
Just the tampering and unlawful use.
Just count 1 and count 7. State, you're going to null process count 2 and count 5,
Correct.
as it relates only to Mr. Henry. Okay. So, Mr. Henry, what it's going to be is 2 counts of accessory after the fact, tampering with a witness in a capital felony, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison. That will be followed by 6 years of reporting probation. In the unlawful use of a two-way communication device, that's a second-degree felony. The maximum exposure, it's the second as charged, I believe. It's a third, except as it relates to a capital case. But I'm happy to look it up. Well, what did you want the negotiated sentence to be for them?
That was just going to be the maximum.
5 years? Is that what you want me to do?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so sir, as to that count, it's going to be adjudication of 5 years in Florida State Prison. So the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count, those come with 6 years of reporting probation after the Department of Corrections sentence. I'll give you credit for all the time that you've served in both cases. All of those counts will run concurrently, all those sentences will run concurrently, all counts in all cases, that is at the same time with each other. I'm going to have to impose mandatory court costs. I'm going to order restitution payable to Terry Bagley and payable to Ashley Phillips and reservists to the amount. I'm going to give the state 120 days to tell me the amount of that restitution. If they fail to do so within 120 days, there will be no restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys agree on the amount, I will impose that as another condition of your sentencing. Pay back that restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys do not agree on the amount, I will conduct a restitution hearing. Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be. What I want you to understand, sir, is I guess that's part of this negotiated resolution, but your answers to any of those questions, whatever they might be, have no bearing on me and have no bearing on this negotiated resolution. In other words, the deal you've negotiated is the deal you've negotiated, and that's involved. Do you understand all that, sir? Have you had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that? They've answered all your questions?
So technically, he don't have to say shit about Melly because they got it all in the statements when he copped out. They don't need him to say shit else when he go to the thing. He already said it in the plea agreement. So good luck to Melly for that. To that.
Questions? You're sure that that's what you want to do? Because I want to emphasize, Mr. Henry, and I'm going to do this again at the end of my plea colloquy. Whether you resolve the case by way of a negotiated plea or not at all. But due to the resources that have been devoted to this case, I have 250 jurors summoned for jury duty starting tomorrow. So I want to be very thorough with you here this afternoon because if you wake up tomorrow or the next day and you decide you changed your mind and you want to resolve this case both cases by way of a jury trial. That's not gonna happen, all right? If you wanna have a trial, the trial starts tomorrow. If you wanna accept the deal, you can accept the deal today. But, there's not gonna be any buyer's remorse, in other words, because I've given you plenty of time to think about this, talk to your lawyers about it, talk to your family about it. I talked to you about it last week. Kinda looks like your lawyers probably did something or other to get a better disposition for you as of this afternoon, but this is it today. So understanding all that, you've had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that, that's what you want to do. So, sir, has anyone forced you, threatened you, or coerced you into entering these pleas? If I accept your pleas, there will not be a trial in either one of these cases, do you understand? If I accept these pleas, there's a whole bunch of constitutional rights you are giving up. I want to make sure you understand all of those rights. You have the right to maintain your plea of not guilty and have a trial in each case. You have the right to present defenses, to file motions and other pleadings in support of your defense. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the witnesses against you. You have the right to appeal any decisions that I may have made up to this point, or any rulings I might make in a future trial. But understanding, by entering this negotiated resolution today, you are giving up all of those rights. The matter is going to be resolved today, right now, this afternoon. Is that what you want to do? Are you satisfied with your lawyers? Have you had enough time to speak with them? Have they answered all your questions? Are you satisfied with all the work that they have done for you? Sir, I've got two identical plea forms here entitled Plea of Guilty or No Contest to Criminal Charges in Circuit Court. Each one has your name on the top, your initials on the left-hand side, front and back, and your signature on the back. Did you go over both of these forms? Any questions about what's on either of these forms? And is that your signature on the back of each form? Sir, there's a few things that I need to tell everyone that I take a plea from. They may or may not apply to you. If you are not a citizen of the United States, these pleas will result in your deportation. Do you understand that? Under the provisions of the Jimmy Rice Act, if the offenses to which you are pleading are sexually violent or sexually motivated offenses, or if you've been previously convicted of such offenses, then these pleas will subject you to an involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentences. Do you understand that? If these are drug offenses, the Department of Motor Vehicles will revoke your driver's license for a period of 1 year. Do you understand that? Sir, paragraph 11 of each form that you signed reads as follows. I acknowledge that my attorney and I have reviewed any discovery disclosed by the state. My attorney and I are unaware of any physical evidence for which DNA may exonerate me. In other words, sir, if there's any physical evidence in the case that we could test for DNA, that...
Notice he said the statements you signed. What statements he signed to take a deal? Bye-bye, Melly.
DNA evidence would not tell me that you were not one of the people in that vehicle when these crimes occurred. But actually the opposite would be true. If there was any such physical evidence that could be tested for DNA, that DNA evidence would tell me that you were one of the two people that was inside this vehicle when these crimes occurred. Sir, do you agree with that statement? State, do you agree with that statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, do you agree?
So he's saying he was one of the people in the vehicle and he copped out. Admitted guilt to accessory to commit murder. The end to Melly. Everybody talks, that's good for Melly. Not in Broward. Y'all gonna see. Might be good in New York, New Jersey, all these other little towns. Not in Broward. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to my subscribers. Make sure y'all leave a comment. And I will be back later. Peace.